Regular planning board meeting, Monday, October 28th at 7. Number one is the call to order. Secondly, determination of quorum. Staff would please note that Rusty is the only member not here present. Four is the approval of last month's minutes. I'm sorry. Number three, conflict of interest statement. In accordance with state law, it's the duty of every board member to avoid conflicts of interest. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest with respect to any matter on the agenda? If so, please identify the conflict and refrain from any participation in the involved matter.
Mr. Chairman, I have a conflict of interest with number 6, old business. I'm an adjoining property owner of the applicant, so I will recuse myself.
Okay, anybody else? All right. Thank you. Number 4 is the approval of the minutes from last month. I know that board members caught one error that Nancy was not here, and I know that's been corrected. I'd also like to ask for a motion to, while we approve these minutes, if we could add on our agenda.
Do it separate.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve these minutes?
I'll make a motion. Second.
All right, all in favor? Do it at old business. Karen?
Under now, ask to amend
Okay.
agenda and add under old business.
I'd like to ask to amend the agenda under old business and bring back 7 or new business part B of last month, so that board members that were not present could have the opportunity to have some input and discussion on those matters. Greg, specifically the timing of applications coming through, the 15-day window, and the one application per meeting. Just if you could just briefly recap that sort of thing, let the members have some time to continue the discussion.
Under old business?
Yes, it'll be old business part B.
Yeah.
Anybody want to make that motion?
So you want to add to the agenda 6B to have a review or discussion of,
What was approved last time? I was completely befuddled by it, and I would love to.
sure, I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a second?
What's the wording for B? I'm just looking for.
I'm gonna hang on and look at it.
There's no recommendation, is already approved. It's just a discussion on the timing, right? Will be just discussion or
Yeah, just the a recap.
Revisit.
recap of that thing.
Yeah.
Revisit.
A recap.
Recap of lead time of 15 days time for planning. the staff.
Recap of timing and number,
Lead time,
of
15 days.
presentations.
Yeah, lead time, 15 days lead time for staff to.
recap of timing
And one agenda per meeting.
and number
Mhm.
of presentations before the board. I make that motion.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
Okay.
All in favor?
I
All right, number 5 is the public comments. Individuals are allowed 3 minutes. Thank you, sorry. To speak and must only comment on current agenda items. The maximum amount will be 30 minutes is allocated to the public comment period. That time limited may be extended at the discretion of the chair. First one I have is Mr. Overcash. I know you signed up, but you don't have to speak at this this part yet. I guess you would speak more as the applicant. Number 2 is Skylar. Okay, thank you. All right, number 3, Chad.
Good evening. Thank you all for having this meeting and your volunteer service that you do for the town. I had a couple points. One in regards to the board member Anderson recusing herself. It looks like from our rules of procedure, it says that in 8.2, a board member who determines that they have a conflict of interest shall declare the conflict of interest and shall not participate in any discussion, deliberation, or vote in the manner. And then it says in 8.1 that a conflict is one that may result in a private benefit to themselves, their immediate relatives, or their business interest. And then it says in 8.3, a board member who believes they may have a conflict of interest shall declare the nature of the possible conflict of interest and ask for a determination by the remainder of the board. A majority vote of the board shall determine if a conflict of interest exists. So it doesn't appear we're following the rules of procedure here. And then in general, as far as the application tonight, I did notice there is one error that I think on these two maps, it shows 9,000 square feet for the two proposed buildings, but I think the application is for two 10,000 square foot buildings. And then I have some concerns as far as it fitting in the land use plan. In goal 3, it says that primary commercial is for inside the downtown overlay, and also that new commercial should be designed with pedestrian features. And this is outside the downtown overlay and is not pedestrian friendly in terms of the rest of the downtown core. Then in terms of land use 2, new commercial is designed and located to serve the residents of Weddington. I mean, this corridor is a big pass-through corridor that's used by residents and a lot of non-residents, that the majority of residents have access to medical and office closer to them in Waverly, Matthews, Indian Trail, et cetera. And it's tough to get out of there and get onto 84 if you're going back into Weddington. And then what has really changed since it was first approved for one building, the sentiment of residents based on surveys seems not to have changed. And then the building was apparently for sale at one point, and I have an email confirmation from Childers Klein claiming it was. And then as far as the UDO points that you're talking about tonight, I recommend as far as cul-de-sacs that you're discussing that you reduce it close to 600 square feet or 600 feet. Marvin and Waxhaw are at 400 feet. 1,200 feet is a safety concern. And then Appendix 2B, that this should be followed. There's a lot of time and effort that was put into this, and that the town knows what it's voting on, and a project can be developed as proposed. Any application that is missing an item should not go to the board, or if the board realizes something is missing, it should be tabled, as it was done for Beechwood, Ray Providence, and then Polifka, of how we had to revisit that.
Good timing. Next up is Basil.
Thanks for having us here. This is our property here. It's our family's property. So just want to make some brief comments, really brief, just explaining that really briefly about the nature of our business, here, that we're really thankful. We've been part of this community for 10 years now, and it's been really great having our neighbors, the Andersons, and it's been great. And just to say that our business is expanding, as you guys probably know a little bit. So some of these offices will be used by ourselves. But yeah, that's about it. Just wanted to state that.
Did you want to respond to the thing about building for sale?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, we did have it for sale for a time, but it's no longer for sale. So
And you're looking at taking some of the new space.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, so we're looking to take some of the space. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I couldn't hear what he was.
Yeah, he just was reiterating what I said earlier, just that our business is expanding. We have a new business, so we'd like to take some of that space in one of the new buildings. Yeah, it's called ITD, a new business. So
Thank you. Last, Gail.
Again, thank you to the planning board, because I know this is volunteer and it takes a lot of work. I understand that. I do want to talk about the Polifka property that is at 13700 Providence Road. I did view the for sale sign on LoopNet. It was up on April 2024, and it was up when they presented to was it the planning board, or was it, no, it was, they presented to the town. And as a matter of fact, I think Travis had to de-escalate a issue with Mr. Overcash. This again is going to involve commercial. And we have said before that we do not want commercial outside the Overtown overlay. The property across the street is not in the downtown overlay. It is not pedestrian friendly. It is not easy to get to. It is a busy street. We have hospitals that are available. As a matter of fact, I just found out that Atrium is building a medical building in Curitan, along with an apartment complex for 55 plus. So we don't need any more medical around here. We just don't need. Most medical facilities like Atrium and Novant will buy buildings or lease parts of those buildings. Atrium is on either side of us. Novant has an urgent care right in Waverly. Independent doctors are just few and far between right now. You may have a few dentists, maybe orthodontist or something like that, but there's not a major medical group, nor do we need commercial cleaners or anything like that. We don't need it. We've got that stuff here already covered, or it's very close to us. I was disappointed with our meeting last month, and I have made my feelings made, and that's all I can say. I was disappointed.
At this time, I'd like to close public comments and move on to old business. Item. Yes, I think that, because I was going to say something as we started old business and brought this up.
Go ahead.
But yeah, Greg, I guess we'll start with your presentation and hear from the applicant once again. But wait, before that, we need to probably address that comment that was made. And if Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but we went through that procedure last time that Mr. Overcash was here, and we all thought to ourselves that she does not have a conflict. She has no gain in this situation. So I'm a little taken back that we're not, that it's out there that we're not following procedure.
Yeah, and I'll have, our town administrator can assist me. I'll speak on that just briefly. Typically, with the cases with ethics, whether for a board member or any participating member, is it's up to that individual to declare whether an ethics concern is there. So you can, as a board, raise concerns about other members or raise concerns about any ethical matter. Typically, it is the responsibility of the person involved to declare that themselves. And so that's what Ms. Nancy has done. As far as you guys voting on that, whether it's appropriate, I'm not sure that that's consistent with best practices in state.
Well, I think that's more along the lines of if there is a appearance of her having some sort of benefit from this project, then she would she offer to recuse herself. You all would discuss it and take a vote on it. I think loosely interpreted, if she wants to be recused from it to give the appearance of being, within propriety, I think that's up to her. And I know there have been public comments made in the past about her neighboring property to it, and so she may be more comfortable not participating in the discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I interpreted it that if Nancy said, hey, I'm a neighbor, I want to recuse myself just because of proximity. And then I think she said, if there are questions, she would be helpful to provide some answers, but not vote. And I think this is what you said that we were here. If Nancy hadn't said anything, and let's say Chris said, hey, I think she should recuse herself, then I think the board would do a vote.
Right.
And so we didn't get to that point. Nancy said, I'll recuse myself.
Well, if I may, I would just like to clarify, I do not feel like I have any ethical conflict with this. No way do I benefit financially or any other way. But I believe that there are people in this community who would see it otherwise. And I'm not willing to put up with that.
We're here on the safe side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Public comments closed. So Greg, I'll let you start this. Please, old business. Thanks.
Yeah, so thank you, Chairman, members of the Planning Board. So this is a agenda item on your agenda 6A that was tabled at our August meeting, I believe it was. We did not hear this item in September. It is now the October session. And this is for an application by 13700 Providence Road LLC requesting conditional zoning approval for the development of a 2-building office expansion located at that address, located on roughly 5 acres and zoned MX mixed use. This is the only MX zoned property in the town of Weddington. It is outside of our kind of town center or our downtown overlay, so it is not demarcated by a hash line on your zoning map. However, it is zoned this MX category, and it's located right next to our town center, which is this facility here, town hall and the Harris Teeter Shopping Center. I'm going to go through this fairly briefly, but otherwise I'm going to defer my staff comments and discussions till the end of this meeting. I just think that the applicant has a lot that they want to say regarding some of the changes they've made, and they could probably speak better to those changes, as well as some technical questions. So I will go through the staff report very quickly, but I will save my recommendation and my closing comments until after the applicant has provided their presentation. Just noting the reason that this board wanted to table this item is some of the more technical documents and evidence provided to the board was either missing or unclear. So for instance, setbacks was a concern due to some height requirements for these commercial areas. We requested additional documentation on that, as well as other engineering items were provided by the applicant. So again, I'm going to let them speak to some of those new additions, what's changed since the August application that was tabled, and then staff can provide a summary of those changes here at the end. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Stephen Overcash.
I'll be brief. Everybody is, once again, Stephen Overcash, representing the petitioner, 13700 Providence Road. I'll be brief also. Everybody's familiar with the project. It was zoned at some point MX. We were not involved with that rezoning. I guess that was a town vote. If you look in the UDO, MX allows a tremendous amount of commercial uses, from dry cleaners to convenience stores to daycares to everything in the world. We're not asking for that. We're just asking to a comparable use to the existing facility, which is all office. It has a medical use, I think, on the first floor. We're restricting it only office and medical office. Roughly, we anticipate 50% medical, 50% general office. We've put in all the reports. We've done the traffic impact analysis. It's in your packet. It gives the summary. There was very little impact on Providence Road by this wall. We have reduced the buildings. The gentleman was correct. The applicant, which was put in application a year ago, was for 2 10,000 square foot buildings. We have reduced them to 9,000 square feet each. So he was very astute when he noticed that, but we think lowering the square footage is probably positive. The only thing that we were given that we did not meet, we meet all the FAR, we exceed the FAR, we exceed the open space, everything that is outlined in MX, we have exceeded with one exception, which is 917CA3, which says if you are within 50 feet of a residentially zoned property, not residential use, residential zone property. So you can pop that up if you can, right there. So I did a diagram, and the church isn't that close to the property line, but it's 53 feet tall. By MX, we're entitled to 40, but if we're within 50 and we're at 36, then that goes to 35. So we have two options. We feel like it's a minimal impact because you can't see through that buffer from the church. I went over there a while ago, and you cannot see through the buffer. We're 10 feet lower anyway than the church. And if you go to the 50 feet, we're still under the 35. It only gets above 50 once you get past that magic 50-foot line that goes on up to the peak. The petitioner was very clear. If this is a problem, absolutely concede, take it to 35. You may ask, well, why don't you take it to 35? It's a Georgian building. Georgian proportions aren't, they don't have really low pitched roofs. They have more pitched roofs like that. And we just feel like the proportions, when you're looking up, you wouldn't see the roof at all from the street because it's so low. And we feel like that roof's important, but at the end of the day, we think we've made a good case. We're not taller than 35 feet within the 50 feet, as in that diagram. If you can't see the building, it's 10 feet lower. And at the end of the day, we are very happy to lower it if that's a condition. So I think that's basically, I brought with me, one of the big concerns last time was water, stormwater. So that was why we skipped a meeting. We spent a month doing calculations, running all types of drawings with DPR. I brought Skylar D. Matisse with me tonight. She's very good at the calculations. She spent a month running them. She's come up with a very minimal solution that will get us to the 100-year flood with all the extra impervious that we have. Just about any report, we've done the septic system drawings are in your packet. We've gone and did everything that we were asked to do. We went back and looked at all the checklists in the UDO, and we have submitted every bit as confirmed by Gregory. I asked him several times if we were missing anything, and he confirmed that we had a complete application. Skylar, run your calculations for us.
Okay, I am Skylar, so I provided this letter that is my signature and seal on there, but basically Stephen engaged my team at DPR to determine what needed to be done to basically detain the 100-year 24-hour storm, which is per the town of Weddington's ordinance. So there is a diagram. Is it in these slides? Okay. I'm just looking for one that has the wall. So
Go back to one of our site plans, Gregory. Maybe on landscaping. Right there.
that'll work. Yeah. So in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see the existing retention pond there. Yep. Thank you. Basically, all we're proposing to do is to build a 2-foot wall that you would not see from the road. So if you're at the road, it's going 2 feet down. And what we're going to do is basically create more storage in that pond by raising the embankment up. So in doing that, let's see, we increased the volume from 32,000 cubic feet, which was oversized for the original development. We had planned for some extra storage for future development in that already, but we've increased that to 55,000 cubic feet by just bringing that up 2 feet in elevation. Basically, the reason for needing the extra storage is this plan proposed about a 0.7 acres of impervious area. So we were looking at how do we detain that without disturbing the site as much as possible.
So water will never go over that retaining.
That's right. Yeah. The water would not in the 100-year storm. Correct.
Thank you. That's it for us, Gregory.
Is that a wet pond or a dry pond or sand?
It's a dry pond with a sand filter.
Is that what it is currently now? Has it ever been repaired? Okay, you're gonna have to completely abandon it and dig the sand out, or leave it as is and just build the wall?
No, the sand would be removed because we need a little bit more sand media than what is there currently. And to basically start fresh and repair, as you're saying, it would be removed and replaced.
Got it.
So the media depth is roughly going to be, I mean, I imagine it's 2 foot now. You're going to extend that a little more, keep
Yeah.
the same type system. And then the wall is only going to be our top of dam on the roadside. We're not 704 around this whole thing.
You are 704 around the whole thing, but we're doing the wall so that you can bring kind of the roadside up to that.
So you're just going to steepen that side, put it at the wall, and the 704 run around our
Correct.
side and run our dam. Gotcha.
Yeah, the sand media depth will be 2.5 feet, And then it will be a larger surface area to provide more treatment area.
Where is our out? Just out of curiosity.
The outfall for it,
Yes, ma'am.
it's the bottom right corner, so it goes underneath the driveway, to the right, to the east.
The other side? Got you.
There. Yeah, so basically it goes under the driveway and right before the property line is where the outfall is riprap to slope down.
And none of that, all that's good, size-wise.
The pipe underneath the drive is good.
Yeah, cool.
So the only real modifications to like the pipe system would be the outlet control structure that's in the pond itself. The pipe out
Gotcha.
is fine.
Work is designed, and then you're just creating volume by the wall. You're gonna change the media depth, everything else is pretty much
That's right.
rocking and rolling. And I imagine your orifice or something is gonna, your control system will change.
That's right.
Awesome.
Anybody else have any thoughts or concerns?
Question. Basically, this plan came before the planning board and town council once before. You submitted a TIA, stormwater, septic, lighting plan, landscape plan, all the stuff that's required on this one. And at that time, it was recommended for rejection by the planning board, then went to the council and was rejected by the planning board. Why should we now take action to void an action that was taken by a previous planning board and town council?
I can answer that. It's because the property has certain rights that were outlined by the town of Weddington. We didn't give them those rights. We didn't make those up. We were granted those rights with an MX zone. Somebody said that's a good piece of property for an MX zone. So we work within we're not even within the rules. We are so far below the rules in terms of FAR and setbacks and parking and all that. We meet everything that the town of Weddington outlined that said that piece of property needs to meet these restrictions, and we have exceeded them.
But no, I think you missed my question.
Okay.
My question was, and I'm sure it met those requirements when it came through the first time with 3 buildings. And at that time, the planning board said, we recommend not to approve it. Went to the council. The council said, we recommend not to approve it, and they rejected it. Now, another plan came through with the single building that you have today. And under that plan, the planning board recommended approval. That then went to the council, and the council recommended approval, and that what was built. Now you're asking, we'd like to go and implement the plan that we submitted before that was rejected by the planning board and council. My question is, what's changed to why we should void an action taken by a previous planning board and council, especially council? We don't set policy. So it really focused on council. So it was rejected once. Why would, or do you expect it to be approved this time?
Things changed. The road has been widened out front. If that was a concern before, more traffic on Providence Road, that has been improved. There's been lots of improvements around Weddington, and
Well, that was in the first plan because you did the TIA.
Right.
So there's all that stuff's been, all this stuff has been done before and presented before. But when it was presented, it was rejected by planning board and more importantly, the council. So my question is, why should we override an action taken by not so much a previous planning board, that's part of it, but
that's your right.
a previous council?
We had 2 community meetings. We met with the community. They didn't show up and say, we're not going to talk to you. We don't want this. They started participating. Wow, what if we did this? We love your buildings. Can you spread them apart? We were listening the community shows up and starts giving input about how we could make the design better. They didn't show up and just sit there and not say anything. Half the people in this room were at these meetings. It was very participatory meeting of what people wanted to see on that line.
And I understand that. And I'm sure the first time this plan came through, there were community meetings and all those procedures were followed. And I'll say my question just one more time. Why would this planning board today or the council today void an action that was taken by a previous planning board and council?
I think it's a good plan, and things changed in 10 years, and Basil has proved that he's a good neighbor. He takes care of his yards. He maintains it well. He's been a great neighbor, and I think if he wants to further develop his property to not even meet what is allowed by MX zoning, he didn't give himself MX zoning. That was granted to him, and we feel like it's very modest, 18,000 square feet of office space.
Yeah, because I know under MX, I don't want to beat a dead horse. It's my last comment. Under MX zoning, when it was approved, you submitted another plan. There were documentation, all the stuff you had in that plan, which is what you have today. And so those were conditions that were set out. The applicant at that time said, yeah, we'll accept this. Matter of fact, Mr. Temple said, we'll go with one building. We want a building for our employees to work out of. And then that was approved, recommended for approval by the planning board, then went to council. Council says, okay, we'll approve that. So anyway, just.
Yeah.
We need to have personal use too, as I mentioned to you. Our business is expanding, so we need additional office
I'm sorry,
space.
you speak, I
Sorry.
apologize. I'm definitely wondering.
I said our business is expanding, as I mentioned, so we do need additional office space. We were thinking about moving even, so we want to stay in this town. We want to put that office here. We want to do that. So.
You still wanna
Yeah, I want to
employees
focus
there.
on the application that's
It's a decisional company.
in front of this board, if we could, and not talk about something 10 years ago. There's a lot change in Weddington, as we all know. There's a lot more people here too. So anybody else have any other comments? Chris, Amanda?
Just got a question as to the potential sale. Was that planned ahead of time, or was that something as a result of what you were coming up against here, and then all of a
I
sudden?
mean, I wasn't part of that. I wasn't part of that at all. But I know we're not looking to sell it. Yeah, I know that it was up on the market. I'm not sure exactly. Yeah, I work for a different business, so.
Gotcha.
Nancy, do you have anything to add?
No. I am confused as to why it matters if the property was for sale or not. I don't understand the significance of that, but.
Well, it matters, in my opinion, if he's coming in here selling that he wants to grow his business and be there, but his business was for sale, he gets something entitled, and then now we're not sure who's here, or what's here, or who's in control of the next. I just didn't want to be necessarily hoodooed
Okay.
as to what it is for sale, if it was or wasn't.
But
It's his right.
if someone were to, a new person were to occupy it, they would have to come back and do the whole thing over again if they didn't do it according to what passes, right? Am I right about that?
No, if he gets it passed, they can build it, the next guy can buy his plan.
Yeah, but it would still have to be.
Right, have to be what it is.
Yes, it's not like someone could come in and put a tattoo parlor in there. It would have to be what was, right?
But in today's time of entitlement, I just was wanting to
Okay.
confirm, is it his growing business he wants it for, or is it for someone else's business ultimately?
Oh, okay.
So,
Someone else mentioned it too, so.
And the other thing, you said the septic was put in here?
Yeah, that's 3 pages. You,
Oh, I got it right here. I see it,
yeah,
I see it, I see it.
it's very technical.
And that wasn't complete last time, was it?
It was not, I did not have that in the packet.
well, do you mind speaking to the septic a little bit more?
Sure. We've got, if you go to the green plan, There we go. We had it designed where the dark green squares are is where it is, repair area. That's the septic fields. And, we had people to come out and test it, and they spent a lot of time doing these drawings with all the calculations. And those green areas are designed for the amount of office space that we are proposing.
So the septic field's staying the same from originally proposed up at the top, and you have two new additional repair areas, as if I'm seeing correctly, on each side of the newly proposed building?
That's correct. And the one at the top was originally that parking that he put down that has been taken up. It's now a repair area. So it's green, it's impervious. Pervious. Sorry.
Yeah. What?
I get those confused.
I'm not the technical expert in the least, but I thought that the septic that you're putting in to handle the expanded buildings, I thought there was like a, and I don't know the term, Chris, like a tank by the building on the right and maybe one by the building on the left, and then through a low pressure or manifold that is pumped up. I don't know. It's,
I don't know whether it's working. There's 3 pages in there. You can check.
we got an expert sitting
You can
over there. I
check
think
the
he's trying
calculations.
to.
You can like sort of see if it works. It's been working for 10 years, so.
That's all standard.
Yeah, but all the dates seem to be the same from a plan in 2021. Am I missing something here? Septic system site plan
Right, they were done several years
done
ago.
by,
Piedmont Design.
That's the
I
first
so
step.
this design was done on this layout, not our current. So basically what you're saying is you downsized and this septic worked for this plan.
Correct.
Okay.
The green area.
And then our details are gonna be what our, I thought there was another, wasn't there one more issue that was,
It was the building height to the church, is what I recall.
They're within the 50-foot buffer. The building on the left.
Left side.
Stephen, if you were to make those buildings perpendicular to the existing building, would that shift out of the 50-foot buffer?
That's why we originally had it, our very first presentation in here, we had that, and the wishes of the community was to skew them to give a better view of the main building. We originally had it parallel to that road coming in, and it did not do that. The community did not like that layout,
so the direction of
skewing.
was based on community feedback.
It was, yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
I was kind of curious about that as well. That seemed odd from just a design standpoint, but gotcha.
So if it is straight on, it was outside of that buffer? If it were like,
Right, if they were parallel to the entrance that was out, we're at 36 feet now instead of 50, but there's no part of the 50 feet that exceeds 35. It's just where the roof keeps sliding on up, because of that diagram I had. So if you go 50 feet, we're at 35 or lower. The peak of the ridge is outside of the 50. And that seems to be the intent of keeping 50 outside the 50, so we've, of the 40. We've met that with that diagram, as you can see there, that magic line.
So with your straight buildings, I think you met the 50-foot buffer requirement. With the angled buildings, and I remember some people were making comments, on, I'm assuming they were making those comments thinking it would still be within the UDO, although a lot of people don't even know that 50-foot buffer is required. But you're saying with the angled, you can't meet the 50-foot buffer?
No, and get parking, and get parking working.
And I know most of what we look at here and the town looks at it is residential, because we're a residential community, and you'll see your lot, then you'll see a dotted line with your setbacks. I know if anything came through here and a house is outside of those setbacks, it wouldn't get by.
So it turning the buildings back rectangle. he's compliant all the way around the board.
But isn't the intent of that, A, is to protect the resident next door?
Right.
Which is non-existent. I don't think that church is going anywhere in the next few years.
Just celebrated 200 years.
Yeah.
And so the intent is we don't want you to be higher than 35 within the 50 feet, which we're not. We're not higher than 35 feet within the first 50.
Because the ground goes up.
The ground goes down.
Okay, well, all right.
But yeah, that
That's
diagram
kind of
shows-
that's kind of presto change to me, but
Yeah, and you
that's
can't,
fine.
I went over there, you cannot see through that mature buffer.
I just look at the UDO as 35-foot minimum height, 50-foot buffer.
I'm in favor of asking the applicant to move the buildings back perpendicular. That's more what you see in development. What about you guys? And
The
then,
rectangle makes him compliant, but I would not be opposed to giving him reprieve if the community really wanted, for some reason, to see this aesthetic. I don't want to speak for them on what you were engaged with them, and if this is what they wanted to
Please don't
see.
forget, just give us the word and we'll squash the roof down to 35 and then we're compliant. Just tell us right now that it's gonna get turned down unless we're at 35 and we'll squash that baby down. Maisel told me if it comes down to it, anybody that bothers you with your diagram, they don't feel like the diagram is the intent of the ordinance. I feel like it meets the intent. We're not higher than 35 within 50, but they said it, just squash it. Pull it down to 35 if it bothers anybody.
So Greg, does the UDO, it requires a 50-foot buffer and max building height is
34,
is
34.
maximum building height is 40. But if it's within the 50-foot buffer, does the UDO says you can go with a shorter height? Are they linked or are they separate items?
They're separate items, but they're contextually related. So normally, the buildings in this zone, this MX zone, their maximum height is 40 feet. So this building would be 40 feet height. These two are maxed out at 40 feet, and that's what's proposed. Because this building, we'll call it South Building, is within 50 feet of its neighbor, which is residentially zoned, that maximum height is lowered. So if you're within 50 feet of the property line, your max height is 35 feet instead of 40. And so as proposed by the applicant, these are both 40 feet high, but by code, the tallest that this building could be is 35. And so.
So if you encroach into the 50-foot buffer, I'll call it the workaround is you set your max height at 35 feet?
The workaround is either it's code compliant or it's not, but this is conditional zoning. So this board has two options. You can grant relief for this particular code requirement, which is section D 917C A3, stating that all buildings and structures within 50 feet of a residentially zoned property, which is churches zoned residentially, shall be limited to 2 stories and have a maximum building height of 35 feet as measured from the ground level to the peak, which is why that exhibit was important. That's saying where we start the measurement from. So this board can either grant relief for that particular item, basically give a type of variance, but otherwise accept the proposal. Or the board can say this item is not code compliant as presented because the one item is still 40 feet tall. And as a condition, you make it code compliant. So staff's recommendation was if you require that building be 35 feet tall instead of 40, that condition is tacked onto the approval, but you still approve the project. It's just a little shorter.
I personally do not see where these two buildings are going to jeopardize Weddington's integrity of what this is here. I would like to see smart development when this comes about. That would be my goal sitting on this table. as the advisory part. The stormwater was a question last time. I think we've got that answered, and sounds like a wall hits our volume, and redoing some sand filter addresses our impervious and our runoff, which would directly affect our neighbors. It looks like septic is buttoned up for a bigger site than this, so I'm in favor of, and I would say right now, to just make it plain, let's go 35 feet. He's willing to do 35 feet, let's make it co-compliant in this one. So I make a motion to approve.
Wait, before we make a motion, we need to have Greg.
Greg has to
Oh,
present his
staff
recommendation.
recommendation.
Yes.
All right, I'll make that short. So, to summarize your staff report, which is nearly identical to 2 months ago, the items that were in question and that were the additional information that was submitted by the applicant was in relation to that setback, in which that exhibit was provided, but the building was not moved. It remained at the same place and thus not code compliant. The other item was, septic. Where's it going to go? Does it have capacity? As Chris mentioned, there's a previous study from a couple of years ago, so it's not quite up to date, but it's for buildings that are larger and FAR larger than as proposed here. So if it could work for that project, it would theoretically work for this project too. The third was the issue of stormwater, and that our current code requires that to be for the 100-year flood event, older standards, or this system may not have been built to that current standard. So we had questions about that, and they provided a professional who stated that this pond would be essentially expanded and a wall built on it to handle more capacity from the increased impervious surface that this project would create. Those are the major additional items of evidence entered into the record for this case. Staff's recommendation, again, kind of the statement was, there's one item that's not code compliant. I don't necessarily like people coming to the board with something that's deficient in code. We'd like to see complete applications or code compliant applications. So staff's recommendation is not to grant relief for the height, but simply as a condition of approval, require that building be 35 feet and compliant with all of our rules and regulations. I want a project that's completely adherent to the MX zone in which it is located in order for approval. And that's staff's recommendation.
All right.
You said it. Split it.
You didn't say it.
Yes. So I make a motion to approve with the building being at 35-foot height to make it compliant with our UDO.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Minish. Opposed? Passes.
Abstain.
Thanks. Sorry, but thank you.
It's okay.
Thank you guys for coming in again, and going through the extra exercises. All right, new business. Item A is to discussion and possible recommendation of the application by, oh, this is the wrong one, sorry. There you go, whoa. Oh, yeah, thank you,
The
sorry.
old business, right? The timing.
Yeah, Greg, if you want to kind of recap for the guys and gals that were not here.
Thank you, Chairman. Just for clarity purposes, I moved back on slides a little bit. So this would be on our agenda now as added item 6B to discuss the previous amendments, text amendments to the Town of Weddington Unified Development Ordinance that were discussed in September. Pardon? Yes, yeah. So talking about policies and items that were talked about during that session and have come up at subsequent town council meetings. The number one and one that was recommended by this board last month was 15 days for a complete application. What that means is that there is a statement on a conditional zoning application that says applications have to be presented to the town planner or the zoning administrator 15 days prior to the meeting in order for them to determine completeness and make sure that there's a full application for review. So the intention is giving time to create a thorough staff report. There's not any changes or slip ups or, last minute additions that confuse staff, confuse our citizens on what's being presented, what's up for discussion, et cetera. And so that was on a application form and not code. This board voted to recommend approval for that to be codified, to be placed in a unified development ordinance. It was also clarified that the application just says 15 days for the application. It has to be submitted 15 days prior. That was clarified on record that should be 15 business days or working days. And so it's not calendar days. It's 15 days the town hall is open that has to be submitted and determined complete by the planner prior to it coming to this board. And so, again, the intention is to give staff time to create a good staff report for you guys so you have enough information to make your technical recommendation, and the town council has plenty of time to view it. I just wanted to advise folks that, I use the term being weaponized. This application deadline is being looked at as a way to exclude applications or to push applications back. That's not its intention. Its intention is just to have you guys have enough time to know what's going to be on your agenda and know what you're going to discuss well in advance.
You likewise.
I was going to ask a question about that. So let's say someone puts their application in and they meet the 15-day deadline. On day 13, you say, oh gosh, I'm missing a piece of paper here. Do they still have time to submit that? Because technically the application was not completed 15 days, but you found an error or an omission. Would they be kicked off the upcoming agenda, or how would that work?
No.
Unless I'm sorry, that was I'm sure this is very subjective. You're very professional about it. If it was some little minor thing, you could probably work it out, I guess.
Yeah, I would say two things. One, that determination is made by the zoning administrator. I think it's kind of written that way, that I determine what is complete, and I would ask for respect in that professional opinion of when those determinations go in. But we're not making a list. We're not making a queue, which leads to the second item. As a policy matter, not as a code change, but as a policy matter, one of the other items that has been up for discussion, particularly with town council, is limiting your agenda to one development item per agenda. So tonight we had the Palifka property. That was our one development item. We would be discouraged, or it would be against policy to have any other items on your agenda henceforth, moving forward, both town council and planning board. And so that was clarified by town council over the weekend, that in an internal memo, that again, this is just one development item per agenda that applies to both the planning board and the town council, that is effective immediately and for all agendas moving forward.
Could I ask what the rationale was for that, or what was the discussion about? I'm sorry, I'm trying to play catch up here. So I read it in the minutes and I was a little confused by it. So I wanted to just get what the feel was from the.
And I do not go to council meetings. I apologize, council members and everybody, but I definitely am a little dark on that as well.
That was town council's decision, and that decision was made at a regularly scheduled town council meeting. So they had discussion on that topic and decided that policy moving forward.
Man, I don't know.
And the 15 days was 15 business days. I don't think we discussed that thing. It was 15 days only. I don't even.
I can't hear.
He's saying that business days versus
The calendar
calendar
days,
days.
yes.
And to throw another, he said, when town hall's open, so are we getting 3 days a week, or is it 5 days during the week?
I'm here 5 days a week.
Yeah, there'd be 15 business days minus holidays, like normal everywhere else, instead of
That will make
calendar days was not.
3 weeks actually, in that case, you're saying. Is it 3
I
weeks?
think when we discussed at the planning board, we were just saying 15 days, 15 days. Then
Calendar
when
days, I never knew
Then we
business
got to
days.
the council is saying, was that
Hmm.
15 calendar days? Is that 15 business days? And so they added that clarity to it and then.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I'm just confused. What I'm confused about is why are we limited to one application at a time? Is it like we're not capable of seeing two? Are we not capable, or does it take too long, or? Yeah, I'm not,
I think
I'm not
that-
clear about what the rationale was. That's what I'm trying to get
I
at.
think
We
that's a
did the same
question
point
that
last
needs-
time.
I think that's a policy question that needs to be addressed to the council.
Well, that's what I was just asking about what
Not to the
this
planning
board's
council.
feeling
Nothing we can
was.
do about it. I get it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get
this
that, but I
board-
was just
I
wondering.
don't know any member that agreed with that decision.
Okay, so,
We did not agree, but this is a policy coming to us. That's why it is.
But you know, Nancy, we don't set policy.
I know
we
that. I
support-
was just wondering what this board, how this board felt about it and what your feedback to the council was. You know, that was all. Because, well, I asked this to Greg before. If someone, this is what confused me. It's, when I read the new or in the minutes, when it said that when an application is put in, that the planning board is required, if the application is complete, required within 15 days to bring it before the, did I read that wrong?
It's 15 days to have a complete application. There are, for a better term, lack of a better term, like shot clocks and other requirements that if it's not heard in a certain period of time, it's automatically deemed recommended or automatically deemed approved. Those apply as well, but this is specifically applying to determining a complete application by a staff member and making sure it's ready to go to this board.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe, Nancy, the actual application says 15 days. But in practice, it wasn't, Greg was not getting complete applications. We've had applications come before the planning board that weren't complete. Matter of fact, we tabled one because it wasn't complete. So that element, it basically, to take the pressure off the planner, we simply said the 15 days that's in the application, you codify that, and that's in the UDO.
Mm-hmm.
So I think your question, one of your questions to Greg was, all right, what if it's some little minor change? I think that's at his discretion. He's going
Yeah.
to say, well,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's nothing.
Mhm.
You're still on the 15-day thing. If it's something that comes in major, like we got a massive change to the
Stormwater runoff thing or
the
something.
stormwater runoff plan, then he's going to say, well, I'm sorry. You know,
Our engineer can't look at it in time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but then, so what happens when several applicants put something on his desk at the same, time, sort of? Does that mean we have to meet more often since we can only do one at a time? Or do we just stretch it out for them? Or how does that work?
again, that's a policy. I check with the council. My understanding of the policy is we will handle at the planning board level one development project. We might have other stuff like text amendments or this and that and so forth.
I'm not getting it.
So there's just, I guess, a wait list.
But her point.
Yeah, so there's a wait list.
So they just get waitlisted?
But her point is valid, right? It does not stop us to have an urgent meeting if you want a special meeting or something, right?
Oh, every time we call a special meeting, that gets really
Greg, you
political and
know,
out of control.
I try.
I think Christmas might be time to get this so close.
That's fine. We'll see when it comes to that point.
Okay, I'm
Obviously,
sorry. I didn't mean to take up so
we
much
don't
time.
want to slow things down. That's the thing, but we'll see.
We don't want to, just planning board for sure. I think we're all caught up on that discussion
Yes.
from last time. Let's move on to
Sorry.
new business. That's all right. Item A is discussion and possible consideration of an entry for Beckingham subdivision under section D 918J, fences and walls permitted within yard area. Greg?
Yeah, so that applicant here is for the Beckingham subdivision. They have a PowerPoint, but I'll briefly summarize what's being asked of the board here. So Beckingham was a subdivision that was approved in late 2023. A private gated, single entrance subdivision near Lockhaven and some other communities here in Weddington. At the time, there was a proposed stub out to an adjacent parcel, which is required under code. Anything over 15 units should have two forms of ingress egress. At the time last year, during this legislative process, it was determined that having this connection wasn't necessary or wasn't in the best interest. And so while the plan showed that connection, that was ultimately scrapped as part of the vote for the subdivision. That's one. This just provides that for kind of evidence of the record of what the current site layout and site plan looks like. The most important thing this is doing is just saying they want to add a nicer entrance than is kind of clearly allowed under code. Meaning, even if it's a private road, it has to be built to DOT standards. And this would have pavers and some curb and some other design aesthetics that technically doesn't meet NCDOT standards because it's not just asphalt with a certain depths and weights and things like that. So they're requesting a deviation from the current standards to do it not to DOT standards, but to do it privately with these pavers. So long story short, they just want approval to have pavers on a private road. So I don't want to complicate this issue too much. They just want to make their entrance nicer than the DOT will technically allow them. We could go into if this is a change in their conditional zoning approval. Staff's interpretation is this is just asking for pavers on a road. Let's keep it simple and have it fall under the part of the ordinance D918J, which is fences and walls permitted in yard areas. We just did this for Luna. We approved their entrance. This is to approve their entrance for Beckingham with, again, those masonry pavers that they're requesting. And their presentation will detail those items.
And being private, that's still the homeowners association responsibility.
All right, Tom?
Mr. Waters, there's a clicker up there so you can go through it. Your own pace.
Clicker. All right. If I could only see it. There we go. So, good evening. Members of the planning board, my name's Tom Waters with Provident Land. I have Connor Horn back here with Debbie K. Dixon, our civil engineer for the property. So we're very excited about Beckingham. We've made tremendous progress in the last number of months. We're a month or two away from having our final permits for all aspects of the development. So we coming here tonight to talk about two cosmetic things that we think would be an enhancement.
On my glasses, Tom?
Well, what do I push? The top thing? This one?
Yeah.
Look at you.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. So there we go. Come on. So what we'd like to do, we're doing the bar ditch type of street construction. So the asphalt has what I call a raw edge. We would like permission to put a 1 foot ribbon concrete to basically picture frame it or just edge it. It's a cosmetic thing. It also works well during construction and actual home ownership. You don't get the little pieces of asphalt breaking off or falling off if there's a heavy rain. Okay. The other thing we would like to do is at our entrance, maybe. Yeah, there we go. We would like to put in some authentic types of pavers, whether it's natural stone type pavers or fabricated. It would be kind of a rough paving look similar to this slide here. Really, that's it. I did bring a couple of just pictures of our entrance I can pass around and show you. There's some similarities in there, so just throw those around. So the other one was a stub out with the connecting property, and you all did not want that, and we're happy to go either way on that one. So the real request is to put these nicer pavers in at our gated entrance. NCDOT has made it real clear to us that it can't be inside their road right of way on Lock Haven. So we'll have a piece of curbing, flat curbing across there. And then these pavers would go from that point to our gated entrance. So we just think the aesthetic of that would enhance
I
the,
just got a couple questions.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I mean, my neighborhood, we've got the same thing. Because it is private road. Something happens, it's maintained by the people in that community. I know during construction, even if it's asphalt, a lot of truck traffic back and forth. And once you've got it all wrapped up, you'll put a top layer on, finish off the asphalt. What's the plan with your pavers? I'm assuming you're not going to put those down.
they would be up front.
Concrete trucks and everything else coming over those.
Yes, there will be concrete trucks over them. They're very strong. I mean, these are like granite pavers, and it's part of the entrance look. So it's part of the whole concept. We're using all natural stone, nice gates. Landscaping will be fabulous. And those pavers are part and parcel to that entry look for the customers.
I have a quick question about the ribbon curb.
Yeah.
Are you counting that curb as part of your travel lane, or is it going to be outside the widths required?
I think the minimum width was like 20 feet or something less. We're actually doing 24 feet of asphalt plus the ribbon, or maybe it's 22 plus the ribbon.
It was whatever was previously approved plus the ribbon.
Adding it on.
Thanks.
And that's through the whole neighborhood or just at the entrance?
No, that
Neighborhood.
the ribbon curbing would go through the whole neighborhood. All 38 lots would have that ribbon curbing. Let me qualify. The entrance is stand-up curb. It'll have a raised curb at the main entrance to the gates. And I think it goes through the gates down to the first creek crossing. But then the rest of the community would have the 1-foot ribbon concrete continuation with asphalt in the middle. Right. Any other questions?
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Any further discussion?
Looks good, looks good
I like
actually.
it, yeah.
Looks good.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, a second. All in favor?
Yep.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Under new business, item B is discussion of possible recommendation of text amendments to the Town of Weddington's UDO. We're going to start with item I, section D, 917A, D, lots in the floodplain. Greg?
All right. Thank you, Chairman. So bundled here, we have several possible recommendations for text amendments to our UDO. Starting with section D, 917A, subsection D, which is lots in floodplains. And so I'll go through each one individually, but we can jump around in terms of clarifications and questions. I would just like to note from the background, these are what we call low-hanging fruit text amendments. These were recommended by members of town council, discussed at their previous meeting on October 14th, 2 weeks ago, and therefore brought to y'all for your potential recommendation. All text amendments have to go through the planning board, regardless of where they came from. So you guys are the technical review body. Even if town council has a good idea for a text amendment, it still has to go before y'all first, before it goes back to them for their vote. So whether it's staff's idea or town council's idea, any text amendment comes before you guys for your recommendation. The items that are before you were specifically referenced either during a town council meeting or by a town councilman. So they are presented basically as they conceptualize them. Staff provides a recommendation or potentially a tweak to them to meet what staff would recommend, and then y'all can make that vote. For this one, a couple of these fall under specific requirements for residential development. So we've talked about things like buffers in the previous meeting. That falls in this section. Lots in floodplains, cul-de-sacs, road design, lot design. All these things fall under this section 917A and B. So all this text amendment would do is under lots in floodplains. It basically says lots that are fully subject to flooding. We shouldn't create any new lots that are totally in a floodplain. So that's all that section starts out with. It has requirements for if it's partially in a floodplain, how that lot can be created. So this is talking about the subdivision process and what structures can be in the floodplain. We don't want to have scenarios where an individual owns a lot that has floodplain on it and they can't do anything with it. There's Supreme Court precedent and all kinds of planning law. I can tell you about that. But we do want to say we want to minimize creating any new lots of floodplains as much as we can, and that's what this section details. What staff is recommending is getting rid of subsection C. Again, this is based off of town council recommendation, which is to remove subsection C of this zoning section that says where a portion of the proposed lot is subject to flooding, such lot may be approved only if there is a portion available, if there will be available for building a usable lot area of no less than 10,000 square feet, et cetera, determined by floodplain. The recommendation is to strike that. This is guidance for how much buildable area you can have in a floodplain. Town council recommends removing this reference to sections of building on lots with floodplain in them. But removing this also removes ambiguity or lack of clarity about buildable lots and floodplains. I think buildable lots needs to be a topic to be discussed by this board in the future. It's not a revision. It's not eliminating a number or a letter from the code. I think that needs to be wholly rewritten and comprehensively studied by this board. And so that said, this just recommends removing item C from section D917 AD. Town council wants it removed. Staff also agrees and recommends approval of this text amendment, which would remove subsection C. That's fairly technical, but happy to answer questions on that.
Yeah, let's take them one by one,
Yes.
Greg. So let's focus on this lots in the floodplain. You and I had a previous discussion. I just want to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up for a grab of land, so to speak, in lawsuits. Can you elaborate again?
Can you repeat that again, Chairman? I'm
Play
sorry.
devil's advocacy real well.
Please. You can say it better than me.
You're gonna take away C, which requires us to meet 10,000 buildable square feet in a floodplain lot. But you cannot stop me from doing an exempt plat that cuts up property that's in a floodplain that I can do a Clomar or Lomar by field and bring myself out of flood, which now I don't have to have 10,000 square feet to build in.
Correct. So excellent point. So what this is saying as a whole is,
You can make it buildable, it's buildable.
Yep. It still has subsection A, which says you can lift it out of the floodplain. So we're saying we're not doing calculations on buildable land and on C. Just A would apply. You're either in the floodplain, you can lift yourself out of it, or you're not. So from one side, it's saying we don't want to determine, or we don't want to encourage buildings on floodplain, is what town council's goal is, from my understanding. So this
Chris,
section would be eliminated.
From a layman's standpoint, you say we can lift ourselves out of the floodplain. You're saying, like you see at the beach, you build your house up on
No, with dirt. So I can go through FEMA and I can get that flood line changed on the plat. But what I could not do, or what would be harder for me to do from you coming to me on my side of the table, would be to get that 10,000 square foot of buildable area. That would be a heck of a lift. But I could lift to go, okay, now we got something buildable. We're going to put a 3,500 square foot house print right here, drives, and I could do all that in a flood plain. About right. But the 10,000 was the number. And if it was to get to not have a number on a buildable area, then I get that. But if it's to not want to build in a flood, you just helped me build in the flood. So that's where I'm saying from my side of the table, playing devil's advocacy, because a non-exempt state statute is a state statute. I'm going to come in with a plat. You can say you don't like it all you want, and I'm moving through with it, recording it, try to stop it. And then I can go to FEMA and say, hey, I got this flood. Here's my plan. Here's what I'm going to do. We're going to lift it up with some dirt, and it's a LOMAR, letter of map revision by field. And now I'm out of the floodplain and I only have to have 2,000 square feet instead of 10.
Can you, I don't want us to get off topic here, but you can add dirt to a floodplain because the town got caught up in a huge lawsuit at Optimus Park.
That's because they didn't
Well,
have
you
a
gotta
plan
do it
ahead of
legally.
time. Yeah, they were just dumping dirt.
Yeah,
They
you
didn't have a
gotta do it
plan.
legally. And I'm in Optimus Park right now trying to help them with a lot of stuff going on from that lady who is.
Okay, so yeah, my understanding was they raised it.
You're in trouble if you don't do it right.
All right, okay.
And,
That
and they
answers-
did it not in the floodplain. They were filling in a floodway.
Okay, that answers my question.
Yeah, so
Thank
we're
you.
just talking a floodplain, not by the creek.
I saw Nancy's look. She knew exactly what I was going to be
Yeah, I
talking about. Okay.
I'm the one who went out there and told them to stop bringing more dirt.
Yeah, so there's parameters and stuff you're allowed to do in certain zones of a flood. And if your lot is got a lot of flood, now I can subdivide and get 3 lots. Instead of having 10,000 square feet, I can make 3 lots and I only need 2,500 each lot and I got 3 new homes.
So
And they're not in the flood.
So you don't see a problem what they're proposing on C?
No,
Okay.
I think C already made it harder for me to do that. Now you remove it, now your land probably got a little bit more valuable.
Okay. All right.
So I don't see a problem with it. Just playing devil's advocacy from my side of trying to gain that edge. Instead of not building a house, we're gonna build 3. And
Okay.
All right, so you want motions individually as we go through, or?
Yes, I think.
Yeah. We'd be happy to accept a motion on this particular text amendment.
motion to approve as they've stated.
Okay.
Well,
Any more discussion? Sorry.
we're talking 917A. Are we going to talk?
C.
Oh, just 917AC.
917 AD.
D, lots in the floodplain and they want to remove C.
Remove option C in that one. Yes.
It's just item.
Oh, I see. All right, I see it.
Mhm.
Yep, okay. Someone make a motion?
Chris made a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Yes. Greg?
All right, so that's one. We'll go in the item that's on the agenda that's on the screen. So this is now section D 917B. We just talked about requirements for residential zoning. These are additional specific requirements for conservation residential development. So our RCD conservation zone has a bunch of extra rules for it. The intent being you're granted a density bonus if you do this type of zoning. Your lots are smaller. Therefore, you have additional regulations that fall under this chapter. The recommendation that was provided to staff was to reduce, was to amend these 2 lines. Under minimum open space for these RCD zones, at a minimum, 50% of the gross acreage of the tract would be required to be retained as conservation land. So these zones require 50% gross acreage preserved as conservation. The proposed text amendment is to strike gross and make it net so that it would read 50% of the net acreage of the tract will be required to be retained as conservation land. It would also amend the second sentence, which did read, no more than 20% of the minimum required area of conservation land shall be comprised of wetlands, submerged lands, steep slopes, floodways, or land under high voltage transmission lines. And that would be amended from 20% to read no more than 0% or none of the minimum required area of conservation lands shall be comprised of wetlands, submerged lands, et cetera, compromised areas.
I have questions about that.
Yeah, I could play devil's advocacy pretty good on that one too.
Go right ahead, because I'm right behind you.
What's your concerns?
So
I only have to give the net, you mean like we're gonna take out our right of ways, our easements, everything. Here's what I actually got. I gotta get 50% of that. But none of it can be this. So now I don't have to give this as part of my conservation.
Or
in
no,
these
I can't
neighborhoods.
give this.
Well, I can't, but I don't have to. That's even better. Before, it would have been a given.
But it seems to me that by putting that in there, you are really limiting.
So all of that has to be part of the properties.
Not 50%.
So, but
Because it can't be conservation land, so it's,
that's the prettiest part of the conservation part.
right, or no?
Yeah, if you have a stream, that's what you want to conserve. And so with rock outcroppings and generally speaking, if you have pasture and you have a stream, then you got the big trees are growing around the stream. So if you're not going to let that be in the conservation parcel,
So this
if
is
you
some of
will.
the stuff I said with like the buffer. When someone wants 100-foot buffer, but we gave a 50, and then we can make a condition to deed restrict to 100-foot. I can sue y'all if you bust my deed restrictions. I can't sue you on some plat stuff. So now we're going to unplat, or this won't be in some of the critical conservation areas. So now it's fair game to be
Ripped up.
yes. And I mean, you could get in trouble for ripping up some of it. But when your kids are playing and things, there's no accountability or anything to there because it's not part of the conservation. It is just land. And as far as like again, it's bad land. I get that. It's not buildable. And I don't even think you could put an easement in the conservation, can you? So a voltage, a transmission line is an easement. That would never be part of the conservation.
No more, yeah, no more than 20% of.
Now, even
the land.
before we
That would
couldn't
take it up,
use an
yeah.
easement, that would have
Right.
to be out of the conservation. It has to be good, land. So that wouldn't even be a go. But I think everybody would meet the net of 50%. That's what we do. You're going to meet the net. But now you've left a lot of land that meant to be beautified, meant to have things, and would have some control with the neighborhood being conservation lands that now. Man, let the kids go in here and do whatever they want, let it build. It's not even part of the conservation.
So is the intent, need some clarity here. The intent is, I'll probably oversimplify this, all right. We got 100-acre parcel of land, and they're gonna make it a conservation subdivision. So you'd set aside, simplification, 50 for conservation, the other 50 to build your homes. If 50% of that land is, I think the term's been used, unbuildable, floodplain, steep cliffs, this and that, the net would, and let's say 20 acres of that fell into that category, you take your 100 acres, you're going to take out, I'll call the net, the unbuildable. So now you're at 80. Now you would set aside 40 acres for conservation
about-
and 40 for
You're
residential.
talking about yield plans. Like if they did the cookie cutter one
Yeah.
house per acre, then if you go back and look at one of the plats, let's just use the one that we just looked at for Beckingham. And I asked this question to Tom a couple of months ago when it first came out, and that was that some of his lots, the backyard is in the floodplain, but it has a buildable pad on it. So the yield plan was the yield plan. And he could still get as many lots. But what I am concerned about, and I'm going to use a personal example on this. I had lunch with one of my cousins today. They are adjacent to the parcel on Ray Road and Province Road. I used to call it Pittenger property. I don't know who owns it now, but you all know what I'm talking about. And so those people wanted to run a sewer line through, I'll say, the Hudson property. And they were very much against that because it was going to follow the creek
And it
and
destroys. the
trash
creek.
everything.
It does, absolutely.
And so they're like, we want to be good neighbors, but we want to be good conservationists too. So no, we're not going to let you do that. And so.
And in the future, if I did a neighborhood that didn't have conservation protecting the creek, now my homeowners association can sell that easement to you wanting to run sewer
Right.
along that creek because it's not protected. If the intent was to downsize development and reduce homes,
This
that
doesn't do it.
is not, in my opinion, the way I would go about that. And I would actually protect the bad land because that's where somebody's going to ultimately need to bring something, do something, or you're going to end up having your neighborhood kids, and again, there's no control. It's just land. It'll just be common open space. If it even has to be deemed that. I don't know. I'd have to look at that, but I think I could play devil's advocacy if none of this land has to be protected under a conservation.
Yeah, and if you look at the RCD original ordinance or the regulations that we did it under, it was exactly to protect old growth trees, which are, oh, by the way, by the creek, and people talk about, a lot of our land is in, even though it can't be developed, but I mean, that's where all the pretty trees are, is by the water, because the rest was pasture. The same with all the other farms that are being developed. They're pasture, except around the creek beds and the water. And that's the pretty part of it. And many of them have, like that falls one we had, that was beautiful rock outcroppings and stuff.
Beautiful waterfalls, right out that rock at the back end.
Yes, you don't want that on private property. You want that in the community,
Again,
the
if this is
common
what
space.
they're wanting and I'm missing the picture, then I might be just missing the picture. But if it's wetlands that's not protected in conservation, then we can start as a homeowners association filing a petition. We're going to get our free linear feet of whatever I get to destroy a wetland. I'm going to notify the Corps. Let's get rid of that. Now we got something we can do something else on. Oh, they want to give us $100,000 to bring sewer right through here along this creek. It's not part of the conservation. Let's let sewer run right through the creek. Write us a check.
Who owns that land? Like my 100-acre parcel.
Oh,
I'm
the-
assuming-
the neighborhood does, the homeowners association.
The homeowners
does.
association.
But
Yes.
it's not part of the conservation. So in your CCRs, it wouldn't be part of what you get to protect in the conservation. If you're not going to let it be used, we're going to make sure the CCRs are set up to.
But that's what I mean. It's you've got the conservation land that's set aside in perpetuity.
Yep.
And then you've got, I'll call my example, the 20 acres
Yep.
that, who owns that? Or who would own that?
The HOA as a
HOA
whole.
would
The
HOA.
HOA would own
And
that.
if they started to want to redo that land, get
And you're
it up
saying
to
the
par.
HOA could go in
Oh, yeah.
and do whatever they, okay.
If they could build up stuff and do stuff on land, and now you got the amenity area, and now you got another lot.
But
to
it,
sell.
but it has to come through the town council. It can't.
Yeah.
They just can't do
Well,
something.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's
Is
20 years from now, this could really be something.
Yeah, is the issue on how this is, the proposal for the write-up is? Or is the issue with, questioning the policy that the council is intending?
Yeah, the issue is in the strict language of the text. So,
I'm assuming this was penciled together by a council person.
But
Yeah.
reviewed by our staff.
Yeah, and that's my question is, I think as I read down here, it says staff does not recommend approval, but is it not recommend approval because of the policy or not recommending approval because the way right now this text is written that doesn't address the issues we've been talking about?
yeah, so I could interpret, I think council would agree, the intention is, for this amendment is to say, you can't take junk land that you weren't going to build on anyway and dump it all in the conservation area. Nobody wants that. So that's what we want our text to reflect. But what I have issue with the staff is if we say 0% of the minimum required area of conservation land can't include wetlands, floodplains, and other things, that's where we want that stuff.
Yes.
So this text amendment doesn't meet the objectives of what we broadly want to do. And I think the idea of developable land, again, has been targeted as a major priority by council. That has to be done comprehensively, not as a piecemeal approach.
Mhm.
And then if the goal was that, then give the percentage back to the land you want to protect in a conservation and raise the percent that you have to meet to get into the conservation. I feel like we just went
Backwards.
the wrong way. Yeah.
Yeah.
The wrong one. And again, that voltage line, that really is the language. And I would imagine that easements aren't allowed to be in our conservation. And there's a voltage line of 69 or higher is going to have some type of easement.
Yeah.
And that would come out of, anyway, that would come out of the gross to make the net. So that'd already be kind of accounted for, but I don't know. So it ends up, you said, I don't see where the staff is telling me they like it or don't like it. Where do you see that at?
Recommendation at the bottom of the page, Chris.
Oh.
Staff does not recommend
My
approval
reading lax.
for proposal of D 917B. So,
I would have to agree with staff that, again, I'm not,
Totally.
I am for, from sitting at this table as an advisory, I want it to be smart development here. I want it to be that if someone comes, they have to come with a high standard of something. And if we think we're trying to combat it to where we open up some loopholes and the intent was not, then I don't know that I'd open up loopholes in something that's kind of already working.
well, that's the reason I think the question isn't so much staff is opposed to the, I'll say the policy direction the council's trying to get to. It's just how it's written up is full of loopholes. So the staff has, should we request that staff come up with alternative text wording
Edit.
that addresses the concerns expressed? Well, I don't know if you've even had time to address that.
I did and I didn't. The answer is this developable land, what is determined developable land, where, we're talking about transmission lines. That's referenced in other code sections. I don't want to change it here and not change it in other places. Right. And so I just think that needs to be a larger topical code change rather than saying, okay, in October we addressed power head lines, in this section, but in November we have to address it in another section. I think just this needs to be a broader, more thorough topic.
So to implement this policy that the council is trying to get to, I think everyone understands the intent is needs to take some time to look throughout the whole UDO and address it in totality with your expertise, the appropriate wording and texting. Am I saying that right?
Totality, agreed, yes.
I hope the council is leaning on your expertise on some of this as you've been in the different municipalities. And each game is played a little different in each town and each place. And
I think a council member probably had good intentions and thought, oh, you do this and that and you're taken care of. But I think we've learned, I never even thought, on the surface, I said, oh, I understand what they're doing. But then I never even thought about the issues that have been raised here. And I think I'm not
I would
making-
vote. Do we get to vote on this one?
Absolutely.
I recommend
Make a motion.
to not recommend this one.
Make a motion.
I make a motion to not recommend this
Can
text
we,
amendment to council.
can we make that motion a little bit more expansive, not to just not recommend it, but direct, I don't know the wording here, direct to council that they have the planner address this policy issue more holistically because it impacts other areas of the UDO. If we just out of reject it, I'm afraid it's just going to stop.
Oh, I don't think they'll stop it. I
No.
think they'll go back.
Yeah, I
Rethink
think
it.
last time we did a bunch of recommendations and they did totally, not even when we sat here and talked about, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm good to just say on this one, hopefully they would see we're denying it for a reason and they look into it.
Yeah.
Mayor's here.
I'm
sure
and
that's
that's what
not
I was
gonna
trying to do.
notice.
I was trying to, in that motion, get
Yeah.
that reason in.
So I got a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Did we get a clear recordation of what the motion was?
It was to not
It
to
was to
recommend.
not
it.
recommend it.
That's all, yeah.
Yeah, not on that one.
Okay.
All right, moving on. So this one's more straightforward. This is back to section D 917A. This is under subsection J. This talks about cul-de-sacs. So this was talked about at our last town council meeting. It has been discussed in public comment as well. So this cul-de-sac section discusses a couple different items. It talks about how permanent dead-end streets shall not provide sole access to more than 16 dwelling units or 1,200 linear feet, whichever is less. So the code is designed to discourage exceedingly long cul-de-sacs. We've been asked by council as well as the public to examine that, see what our peers look at. I think Marvin does have smaller requirements than us, more towards 400, 600 feet rather than the 1,200 we propose. So that's one factor in this cul-de-sac text amendment. Are y'all comfortable with 1,200 linear feet being too long, not long enough, size cul-de-sac? So, and then just a reminder, cul-de-sacs, the bulb at the end of a road where you can turn around on your subdivision layout.
Do we have one that's an example, like a really long one?
Yeah, in fact, we do. The one that just got approved, Beckingham, would
Okay.
not be approved because its cul-de-sac is 1,200 feet.
Heritage Crossing.
And Highgate has a couple of them as well.
Yeah.
The problem
Yeah,
that,
but Highgate, well, back when that was put in, the emergency access was required. That was the offset to
You're
address
welcome.
that. Yeah.
I did that.
I'm not sure if Amanda or the
Yeah.
other people. did.
Doreen did that as well. I think that every tract of land is different. Weddington is running out of big 200-acre tracts of land. There's slices now that go, in like that. So show me on the one that we just looked at for Beckingham, how would you have 2 entrances on that?
So when you said 200 is a circumference or linear feet, what do you mean by 1,200 linear feet?
So linear.
It's
It's
a
from the
circumference.
center of the circle to the center line of intersection that it comes from.
Yeah, because it's,
Okay,
And traditionally, I would say from my experience, larger home communities do not have exceedingly long cul-de-sacs.
Listen.
And it just is it's just a product of a bigger home type community. You see them in most of your, I don't want to call it tract home layouts, but hey, I got a piece of land, it's give me the best yield I can do here. And cul-de-sacs happen to be a lot of what they can do. And now NCDOT has gotten to where they allow you to use that hammerhead a lot. And that becomes an eyesore too. And that's a different beast altogether in how it looks like a parking lot at the end of a road. So we would be drawing on an NCDOT road. Can council overrule NCDOT's want of a hammerhead versus our cul-de-sac that we say we want?
So my objective from this amendment is to say they're NCDOT's roads. Let's not reinvent the wheel. If we own and maintain roads as the town of Weddington, and we staffed up the public works department and we spend millions of dollars getting that established, let's design roads.
Man, we're on the way.
All this text amendment is addressing, I believe, is just number C. It's not addressing 1,200 foot length, anything like that. It's strictly addressing,
yeah,
are
it
you
is.
talking
Yeah, it
about
is.
all the points
Say
or
it's
is it
600
number
feet.
6?
just J6.
It's addressing what he's got highlighted, it's 16 units versus 1,200 linear feet, whichever is
Maybe I'm
less.
looking at the wrong sheet.
So yeah,
And I'm getting worried if you start to shorten it up and now you see the little hammerhead parking lots, which could be better than 1,200 feet of cul-de-sac. I'm not arguing, 1,200 feet of cul-de-sac, in my opinion, is a lot for Weddington. But I would still think on a conditional zoning situation that there are certain things they can still ask for stuff on unique situations, right?
yeah.
In a unique situation, we can do certain things that we can give, right? But the standard would be from a whole is when the bigger guys come in and try to take a piece of land and fold it up, they're going to kind of have to hit these buttons or come to a reasonable, unique, specific to the lot land situation that I think would change some of this.
Yeah.
So right now, we're just addressing number 4. on the-
J1.
On the last.
So there's, I think, 3 things highlighted in total in your packet.
And then 4 is totally mixed.
Yeah, so the staff's recommendation is to eliminate the item that states cul-de-sacs less than 600 feet long shall be generally designed as close as, making it more complicated than it needs to be.
Yep, but
NCDOT's road, staff recommends
I'm
eliminating
good
it.
to take that off, but you got a change in one, right? You're wanting to know if we think that the 16 dwelling units and 1,200 linear feet are too long?
Correct. So staff certainly doesn't recommend making that larger or longer. 1,200 feet's already pretty long. But I wanted to bring it to this advisory board's attention because it's been addressed as a concern. So
And then-
I'm not necessarily recommending a change. I just
I
wanted to
got
mention
you.
it.
I just thought we were talking about it since they were highlighted.
So the text change that's on the table is cul-de-sac, basically the close.
Yes, staff's recommendation is to remove the reference to the close. There's two other items that have been talked about previously regarding cul-de-sacs, and those are highlighted. If that would also be amended, that is at the discretion of the board.
What is our new frontage that the council members approved, width of the lots? You did that at 120?
120.
120.
So now instead of 16 on 1,200, we're 10 lots. If you look at it that way. But still 1,200 feet is long. So that's what you're just saying, just bring those up to talk about. And then talking about the central islands that are designed, you've got highlighted.
Yeah,
And
reference.
does council want to remove these? Is that what's being batted around?
Well, my chairman, I believe, mentioned it at the previous meeting, that the teardrop shape, again, that we're requiring central islands of these design features that DOT won't approve anyway.
No.
So
Yes.
if it's going to be in code and it's inconsistent with NCDOT standards, let's remove the inconsistency. Let's match their standards.
That's why I was asking when it reads about the town council, can they, well, I guess you're right. It's NCDOT road. We're not getting involved in whose road. I got you.
Yep.
So ultimately, J4, and I would say I'd make a motion to remove that.
J6 or J4?
It's J4, right?
Yeah,
What on J6?
I got you.
on the last page,
I have
the front
J6.
page of the last page.
It says 6 on one and 4 on another page,
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm going, that's the reason
but
I,
it's the same thing.
Okay.
I went to section 917A, cul-de-sacs, J 1, 2, 3, 4. And what they're talking about is deleting 4. But I think there'll be future discussion at some point in time on the 1,200 foot and that kind of stuff, but that's not in this proposed text change.
Staff is not recommending a change to that at this time. I
Okay.
just wanted to bring it to y'all's attention. If y'all have a complete consensus that you want it to be a different number, we can do that at this opportunity or later.
I think the planning board is going to have to do a little homework on that one before we come up with proposed changes, just my thinking.
I'd like to hear you argue 1,200 feet to me.
Pardon me?
I'd like to hear you argue why 1,200 feet's good.
I'm not in favor of 1,200 feet.
Oh,
Well, I have a question for you then.
I mean, the only people with 1,200 feet is us in Union County.
How would the Beckingham thing, how would they they only had this much room to get in there. And when we cut off the cul-de-sac, when we let them do a cul-de-sac and there's no adjoining to the property, next property owner, look at I don't know if Greg can.
you're
bring up
talking
that-
about the one I'm looking at up here?
Yes,
We wouldn't have one long road, we would have 2 cul-de-sacs.
She's saying if,
Instead of
Where-
that one long one?
yeah, if we have to stub up to the adjacent.
yeah, I couldn't see on my little map where the access was to the adjoining property. The original plat showed
Oh, you're talking about at the top where it joins to,
where,
where everybody's looking
She's
at.
using both as one example. So
yes,
the long cul-de-sac, if there was a parcel that you would have to
Yeah.
adjoin,
because you
Then when you
can't have
cross
two
the
entrance
creek-
ways.
You're coming in, it would just be a design, we're gonna tweak and get there with the curve.
That's the original. This is not, look at the second one that we approved, or, yeah, that one. So,
Same thing.
but there's only one there's only one entrance. There's only room for one entrance, is what I'm saying, because of the way the tract is. And so,
I'm not that familiar with the parcel, but would it require an emergency access road?
well,
you'd be
That's
so
a-
close to the entrance, I don't know if you would matter.
yeah, that's what I'm
Well,
saying.
I'm in a gated community and I bump up against Harlow Crossing or Harlow Estates. And there's an emergency access road at the end of their long cul-de-sac that connects into my subdivision.
So you're saying put the onus on the next guy?
But we didn't require them to, we let them put a cul-de-sac in there instead of an emergency access.
Which
You see what
one
I'm
was
saying?
gonna be the emergency access?
The
I don't know if you could put one in. I'm just saying that's
Right
how.
I
there.
think that one fits to put one into the cul-de-sacs, but I still could achieve pretty close to a lot count with a little bit of a different look of that with making sure our cul-de-sacs weren't 1,200 long. Now, if you have to have a second entrance or an emergency entrance because you have so many homes that you need a second entrance, and instead of getting the second entrance, you got to make an emergency access route, that's a different ballgame.
How many homes are there?
38.
38? I mean, right now our UDO says if you have more than 16 homes, you need 2 entrances. That may be, I'm assuming that was in the UDO when this came through. It's just, it wasn't caught. People didn't understand it. We didn't have
It's
the chief here that
conditional,
knows all
yeah.
this stuff. We were in between planners, I
But
believe.
what's the fire code? What does it say? State fire has a code. If you hit a number of houses, you have to have a second
It
entrance.
just went up to 100.
They put a fire
Oh, this went up
hydrant,
to 100?
you put a fire hydrant, I think, every 1,200 feet.
Yeah, if you had over 30 homes before, they would let you plat up to 30. Once you went to 31 homes, they made you have a second entrance, or in some places you'd sprinkler homes, whatnot. But again, I'm going to talk about that another day.
Yeah, so tonight we're just looking at
Yeah.
getting
I
ready.
got you. But I'll make a motion to remove J4 of D 917A.
I second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
I'm going to abstain. I don't have an opinion.
All right, so and then that, that gets through those residential requirements, 17 A and B, 2 recommended, 1 not recommended as written. The last one I put here just broadly as Appendix B because it has come up a lot in the application and review process of what is deemed complete, who has met the requirements of Exhibit 2B. So I wanted just to present that to the planning board for your information so you have it in front of you, it's relevant, you know what is required on this checklist. And then 2, if there were any recommendations for modifications, changes, or revisions at this time, or we can bring that back to the next month.
Can I email you
Yes.
what I think, and then you can see what you think to present to everybody? Because there's a lot to fall in my category that I feel like we could X out, and a couple in some categories that don't have X's. But instead of talking about it, I just email, and then you tell me if my dog is hunting or no, this is.
I think there's some duplications in here too.
Yeah, this is a significant, this would be a significant
Yeah.
modification if we changed anything in here. So I do not want to do that.
You got erosion control plan on the final plat.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these boxes are just kind of.
Yeah, it needs to be before.
Correct.
I'll definitely send you an email on what I think that you can present to them to see.
Yes, there are things that may be worded differently, but still in the same checklist that creates confusion. There are things that are, in terms of phasing of construction plans, things that should be in construction documents 2 years after it goes before this board, not at the time that it's reviewed by town council, et cetera, et cetera. I think there's room for improvement in this application checklist broadly. I want y'all's opinion on it so that we can provide a text amendment to the town council in the future.
Chris, septic sewer is the reason this is getting.
Yeah, septic's listed on here twice. And actually, that's why we
Well, that's
take,
the least of my worries. There's a
That's why
bunch
we-
of stuff on here that's
Yeah.
not even,
No, that was
if
just-
you read through them and you're in the industry, you know that it shouldn't apply
Yeah.
at the time they're saying it should
Correct.
apply. And then there's some that apply at the very end that have no, that should have no bearing or nobody. And I don't think you've ever asked for that on the record plat, but it's still checked as if it needs to be on the final plat.
I think the key is if we can get clarity on this, so then, like when Polifka came to the August meeting.
Yeah.
According to this, they had an incomplete application. So it saves Greg doing a lot of work, and it saves the time of the planning board or the council if it gets to that point I think this is something that's just been there for years and years, and
I think it's just some wording and again, some stuff that's misplaced in my experience of how kind of a flow chart of what we do. But some of the wording is just the language itself. And I mean, like for one, I'm just going to say landscape and buffer plan should be on the preliminary, but not on the plat. Or it should be on the preliminary plat, but not the final plat. And nowhere in here does it say that we should be showing the landscape buffers other than all buffer strips. But that's, you get where I'm saying, you got one that says one thing on the preliminary plat and the location and dimensions of all buffer strips. That'd be cleaned up and just say landscape areas, buffer areas, which would be required to be on a plat if they were part of an approved plan.
yeah, my assumption is if it's on the preliminary plat, I would think it would be on the final plat.
No,
by
that's
default.
not necessarily. So
Okay,
preliminary plat is part of the subdivision construction documents that kind of the guide. And then at the very end, your record plat is going to be more of your needs and bounds, your legal tender.
Yeah, acetate that's signing for
Yeah,
recordation.
a lot of stuff storm easements might change on the fly. I don't know if that happens here, but in construction world, we move this pipe, move that easement, and that easement just on the final plat with as-built stuff like that.
Would it help, and I don't want to make this more complex, but as we go through this, actually, you've got more expertise than probably anybody here. Greg's got expertise.
I'd say Greg is the one we need to be
When it
getting
says, you know, on preliminary plat, final plat, title block containing a subdivision name, that's pretty straightforward. And it's like, okay, why is that required? I mean, and that's almost a no-brainer. North Arrow, that's almost a no-brainer. But some of these,
We'll go down the boundaries of the track or portion thereof to be subdivided distinctively and accurately represented as shown. Only on the sketch plan? I mean,
what page are,
that's on the first one, 102. It's about halfway down.
Could I make a suggestion, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I would like to have, to designate 2, maybe 3 people on this board, clearly Chris knows what he's talking about, to look at it very closely, working with Greg, and come back to us and say, this is what we think, and then we'll discuss it then, instead of each one of us trying to figure it out as we go along.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
gonna
that
send
the
my-
experts there.
I agree with her. I'm gonna send it to Greg.
Yeah, I was wanting to table it and let Chris start it off. You just don't mind copying all of us on it. And
I'll copy everybody. I still think Greg's our greatest tool of an asset here to utilize, and he's seen other places and been there. So I would say he's our main
Yeah.
point of contact on how we do this stuff.
I think Nancy's right. We can kind of have a subcommittee that can help do some of the legwork.
Yeah.
To help Greg and share with Ken. Okay.
Maybe if you want to help, if you want to be in the little loop there, whoever wants to do it, I'm just saying. There are people who do this for a living.
so is that your motion, is to table it and start?
Yes, that's my motion, is to table this for now and have 2 board members plus Greg come back to us with more definitive recommendation that we can sink our teeth into.
I'll second that.
All right. Amanda seconded. Karen, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thanks, guys. All right, number 8 is update from Greg and the report from October.
Okay, that's good transition. So, very code heavy, very technical tonight. I see you scared off everyone else in attendance doing that. So I just want to begin by saying thank you for your patience during this. It's still important. It is a council priority. These changes are being requested, and so we got to act on them in some way. I believe that Mr. May, you formed a subcommittee.
Subcommittee's already been formed.
Yep, of planning board members to go over these as we progress in the next couple months with significant code changes. So a subcommittee of 3 members has been formed to look at not only the code items we just discussed, but any future code items. They can meet kind of as a subcommittee or just convene their recommendations prior to our regular scheduled meeting to assist with some of these items.
Have the members already been named to the subcommittee?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
When were we going to be
When
married?
are we going to be told about
Yeah.
that?
It was sent by a memo, by email, that was chosen by town council and the mayor, for those 3 members.
And who are they?
Is Bill, Rusty, and
Me,
Chris.
Chris and Rusty.
So if you have potential code changes, direct some of your suggestions to them. They'll bring their suggestions to me. We will work and workshop through all these code changes. So hopefully it's not so exploratory when we have these meetings about all these concepts and do we like them. We'll have crafted them beforehand and we can simply procedurally vote on them, yes or no, and amend as necessary. Hopefully we can make some of this sausage kind of offline, and then we'll just be ready to present that to the planning board for future meetings. Otherwise, I think we covered some of the big ticket items, the requirements for application, the Appendix 2B, the discussion about one item per agenda, I think was super relevant. I would have talked about that here, but we've already discussed that item. Again, town council policy, our policy is one development item per agenda. That burden falls on me. Y'all don't worry about that. You'll just have one item on your agenda. But that's all I'd like to declare, unless you guys have any questions or comments.
Not for you.
Nope.
Cool. Thanks. Board member comments. Bill, you want to start?
Yeah, I think that Travis has been running a tight meeting. It's been a 2-hour meeting. So I think with a lot of the code stuff that's coming through, and there's going to be more of that, I think it was, I'll say, forward thinking of the council to put in a policy to address one development at a time. I mean, let's say we had 2 more developments here, we'd be here till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. As Greg said, there was a subcommittee formed. It was discussed at the council meeting. I don't know if the council minutes are out yet, but
Man, y'all gonna make me attend a council meeting.
so I know a lot of you can't attend those council meetings.
You can find them on YouTube.
Pardon me?
You can find them on YouTube.
Oh, that's right. I watch them on YouTube too, yeah. But being a retired guy, I can attend all those meetings, so it may sound like I'm aware of some stuff that you guys aren't. Well, I've been to the YouTube channel or actually sit in on the council meeting. I appreciate the 3 people that stayed. To Greg's point, it was a very complex meeting, and I think our discussion as we went through these text amendments shows the complexity and the nuance that is required as texts are looked at, fixed, changed, or added to. Thank you.
Manish?
No, I think, thank you for your valuable comments and thank you for staying till the end. That's all I have to say.
Nancy?
I would just, my only comment is that as a conservation person, I am very much in favor, generally speaking, of conservation subdivisions. And I think that I would like to see the town be more proactive in trying to encourage that among developers. I know it's hard because we don't have sewer in every spot, which is quite honestly required if you're going to make that work. But it's just something that I'm very passionate about, and I would like to see the town continue on with that.
Amanda?
Yeah, I guess question also kind of, for us, I feel, I guess, what is the best course for us to take? Like, I feel like planning board and town council are very disjointed, and like, for example, not knowing about a subcommittee or decisions to do one development project per meeting. And I know that some people have relationships with each other that we don't all have. I guess what is the best course of action? Just have those conversations, like, why did this happen, or what was the thought process behind it? Because coming here and just going through things, it's just, this has been done and we're all kind of, okay, great.
Yeah. Like, why are we here?
Yeah, it's just, so I guess.
YouTube and town council minutes.
Well, sure, but I guess my question is, what is the course of action we need to take to have those conversations? Do I need to come to a town council meeting and during public comment speak, or like what? Do I just need to call somebody on the phone and ask those questions, I guess, or is there a right way to do it, or that's all I'm asking, and just want to be more aware. And I do watch the meetings on YouTube, but you know, just being able to understand that, have conversations instead of just is what it
Bless
is.
you. Bless you.
So I don't know.
I don't know who you're asking that question to.
Anybody that could possibly answer it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if anybody. Yeah, so I guess just call somebody. Yeah, all right.
Do not assemble quorum unless it's in this building, please, and with advance notice.
I talk to this guy all the time.
Yeah, just call somebody. Okay.
Yep.
But otherwise, happy Halloween.
Chris?
Yeah, happy Halloween. I'm just gonna thank y'all for staying, and Rusty said a minute above, stay engaged. That's what Rusty felt like it's saying. Other than that, look forward to the weekend.
It's Monday.
Don't do that to me.
6 Mondays and a Sunday. I can't wait.
Yeah, I kind of want to echo Amanda's comments. Just the subcommittee kind of caught me off guard, and the one agenda item per meeting. Grant, you want to take care of that? The one agenda item per meeting, I think, is I disagree with it, but I think it's a slap in our professional careers of what we can handle. I think it's going to cause a lot more stress to staff, especially Greg. If we got to table something and then they come back, do they have to go to the back of the line, or how does all this stuff work when you've got real money and real time invested in these projects? And it just I disagree with that decision. I think it was made hastily, and disagree with it completely. So
Well, I guess I wish maybe I'll go back and look at it, because I want to know what was the thought process. Because you're right. If you're on the calendar, if you're an applicant and you're on the calendar, and just like happened last time, those people said you're not complete, you're getting bumped off. Do they go to the back of the line? Now does everybody have to move their calendar? I mean, it's kind of a logistics thing. Just surprised about it, that's all.
I know you said don't worry about it, but I don't think that's fair to you or other staff members. So, but thank you for being here. Anything else? With that, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Cheers.